What's up, my guys, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Make Me a Sandwich podcast, where we, again, do not have a sandwich, but we have an awesome charcuterie board and tiramisu.
And cookies.
So we're all set and kratom, so we will be very happy in a few minutes. What do we have? Over 80% of you are not yet subscribed, so make sure you hit subscribe before we even start the podcast. And we are going barefaced today if I look a little bit different because I just have skin problems.
I think you look beautiful.
Thanks, baby. We don't have anything on our talking point list today, so we're kind of just winging it, but we have some sort of idea with where we want to go. So let me actually pull up my couple of notes that I do have. So, our story and how I got here. Do I just tell them all my traumas? Like, what do we do?
I think there's a number of different ways we can go about this. I find it interesting because I've always said that you have sort of a hero story to you. A lot of people in your position would have a villain story to you. Because I always say hero and villain have the same backstory. The hero makes sure other people don't have to go through it. The villain makes sure everyone feels their same pain. So
I didn't really go through anything.
I mean, look, we don't need to get into like hyper specifics, but I think, you come from, divorced parents. You spent, most of your formidable year, well, not most of your formidable years, but a good chunk of your formidable years in your early adulthood with your mom. Your dad wasn't really in the picture. Tried to be. You tried to make things work. It's, still work in progress at this point. You had sort of an interesting experience of not really living the college life. You would, what's the word? You would commute to school when you were in college.
Every day.
Hour and a half every single
5
day.
days a week.
So
4 years.
So you were relatively sheltered in the years where most kids are really starting to, I guess you would call it, come out of their shell. Mm-hmm. You had a boyfriend in college, so that was pretty much, it was your boyfriend, and that was about it. That was all the exposure to men that you really had outside of maybe like extended family members. But you also have always had this sort of, you've always like preferred talking to and hanging out with men as opposed to hanging out with girls. Like, you have a few girlfriends.
That's how it led me here. I have that written down, actually. But basically, in college, I didn't join any sorority. That sounded like actual hell to me. Never been to a college party. So I just did not have a social life in college. So I figured I had to do something in college to like live the college life. So I remember I was in the social sciences building one day. I was walking to a class and there was like a bulletin board and there was a flyer that said the PD Green program, one of my many stickers.
This is the prison thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think there was a few experiences that got me to where I'm at. So I want to touch on that first. So the PD Green program was a program where I basically worked at a max security prison for almost 4 years with just men. So I learned, about some struggles men have, completely different from what I talk about today, but it kind of ties in. So that's where I got like first exposed to just like the male loneliness epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
And
what was lonely about these guys? Because when people think about a prison, obviously there are certain guys in solitary, but it seems like there's also a bit of a brotherhood involved.
Well, yeah. So I would say most of these guys ended up in prison because they sought family from gangs.
They didn't have fathers.
None of them. And they were extremely lonely, and they sought companionship in all the wrong places, which is how they ended up there. So that was, I could go on for hours about the prison experience, and you guys have probably heard me talk about it. And also for my job in college, I was a nanny to I don't want to get into him specifically, but I was a nanny for a teenage boy in high school who did not have a mother, had a father, So I was kind of like the female figure in his life. So I had, a look into like the teenage years, like the crucial years of men's development.
All of his friends, what his hobbies, how he would spend his time.
And I'm in touch with him today, but like I absolutely loved this kid. Like he was like a son to me.
So can we dive in? So there's two things I want to dive into with that. One, can you talk a little bit about my favorite story from your time in the prison, which was the time that you almost got attacked? Because I'd like to know what you thought, kind of what your perspective was about men in general, sort of as you entered into the prison, as you spent more time with the prisoners, and then like I think a lot of things sort of culminated in that moment. So can you talk a little bit about sort of how you like came to like befriend these guys and like how, and then sort of tell that story and kind of what happened?
Yeah, so I think in college you're just automatically of the mindset that men are pigs. That's what every college girl thinks. Men are pigs. Men are all just trying to take advantage of you. So I guess I didn't have the best outlook on men, but I didn't hate them. Like I wasn't like.
Well, you also had a little bit of a rocky relationship with the one man in your life that was supposed to be the example of what a man is.
Yeah.
So you had a little bit of a rocky relationship with him too.
I wasn't like an ultra feminist that hated men, but I also
obviously not.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be here today if I was. But I also didn't think they were the greatest thing, as every female college student does. Thank you so much for eating the cheese. I put a lot of effort into that.
That's really good cheese.
Thank you. So yeah, but basically, I worked at the prison for many years, and after I established some level of trust with them, they really respected me. And everybody I tell this story to, they're like, well, I mean, they had an eye for you. And I understand that men are that way. I'm not naive.
Right.
But I also do think, like, I respected them and they respected me. And that was the relationship we had. And I think they really respected why I was there. Because at the end of the day, I was spending my time there because I knew that it was a youth correctional facility, even though it was max security. In the state of New Jersey, they were getting out eventually. So it wasn't like these guys were in there for life. Like, these guys were getting out. And
they had a second chance.
Yeah, I wanted to be a part of them reintegrating into society.
And you probably more than anybody exercised a crap load of patience with them. I know from some of the other experiences you talked about, like helping these guys learn, write papers, learn math. Like you said, the patience that was required for them was insane. So and because a lot of them were very, very, these are the guys who did not learn. We talk about expression of emotion. These are the guys that overly express their male emotions.
Yes.
And it comes out aggressively.
Yes.
So that's why like stoicism and this idea of, I always say when women say like, you need to express yourself more. No, you do not want men to express their emotions. You've seen it with me. Like you say that I get snippety sometimes. It's because my expression of emotion is very, very aggressive. Even when I'm happy, it's let's go. And when I'm upset, it's fuck. Like everything is aggressive. There's never tears. It doesn't culminate in sadness. So you had to learn to not be condescending with them because they were smart.
Yeah, and they were also like, a lot of them did suffer from mental health issues. So they weren't the type of guys you wanted to set off when you're in a confined space you can't get out of.
So you were like, how can I be kind without being condescending, without making them feel like they're dumb, like encouraging them, letting them know that like they can do this.
And also like New Jersey prisons, I can only speak on that because I haven't ever been in another prison, but New Jersey prisons are understaffed. And it wasn't like I had a guard with me. The guard was in the hallway. So it would take, a solid 10 seconds if I screamed, which is a long time. So you don't want to cause any issues when you're in a prison. Like, let's be honest, those are the circumstances, and you don't want to set anybody off. So, yeah.
But the bottom line,
It was a balance you had to learn.
but inevitably, you wound up in a situation where one guy did lose his cool, and you talked about maybe some of these guys wanted you, like they really wanted you, but I've been keen very, very recently on this idea of like the male protective instinct. And there was a guy who lost his cool.
Well, do you want me to tell the story?
And in the room.
So, basically, I was working with a new kid this day. And usually I would be in the same classroom. I would know most of the guys. And I was paired up with a new one this day. I forget what the assignment was. I think it was to write a paper, and he just did not want to write the paper. And I knew that, you had to push a little bit, so I tried that tactic. I was like, well, no, what if I sit down with you and we just, just tell me what's on your mind. What are you thinking about writing? And he was like, I'm not fucking doing this. I just remember, just an explosion and him screaming, "This bitch." And within, a split second, it happened so quickly.
He stood up, right?
He stood up. I'm sitting, we're sitting at one of those high school tables.
Yeah.
I had pulled up a chair in front of him, but his chair is connected. And we're this, those tables are small. We're this close. And he stands up and goes to lunge. And before I even realized what was happening, all of the guys in the room that I knew very well, because I'd worked in this room for a while, formed
a wall.
A wall within a second. And that's where I was like, wow, there's a respect. Respect is different amongst men.
Yeah, and again, I think there's a very, very interesting dynamic between men and women, because I think there's obviously an issue when there's just single mothers in the household. We've seen statistics bear that out. But there's also a very, very strong love that gets developed between the son and the mother, I think, to a certain extent, right? So I think that men who don't have fathers are not checked when they disrespect women, but just because they do go out of their way to disrespect women doesn't mean they don't also have this protective instinct to keep them safe and keep them alive, right? And I've always said I think that's just inherent.
That story makes me sad.
What? Well, it's sad because it's a bunch of men who you meant something to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in those moments you also saw that the loneliness, the most lonely, most depraved, most borderline helpless, no father, second chance is coming, but who the hell knows what that second chance is going to be like. You're the one who's trying to help them get there. And you see these kids and you're like, these kids are smart. These kids are actually, a lot of them are respectful.
Yeah, and all they wanted was to be accepted by the guys around them. And it was just, I understand that they were in there for horrible reasons, but it was also so heartbreaking.
It was hierarchical.
The lengths that they went to just to have respect from other men. It was just heartbreaking. But
yeah, but I think that painted men in a very fascinating light for you.
It did.
Because it's because they went away because of their untamed aggression. But I've mentioned this before, women like that monster in a man as long as that monster is under control.
Yeah.
So it's they have all these qualities that could make them a great man, but it's just untamed and unleashed, and it can't be trusted. So it's scary.
Yeah. And I also think because of that experience, whenever somebody would speak poorly about a man or say that, he was aggressive or uncontrollable or a narcissist, I was the first person to be like, but why? But let's think about how did he get there? And I think I was always the first person to come to the defense of men after that experience. So I never thought that would lead me to where I'm at. I thought that experience was just going to go on a resume to be a lawyer one day. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to law school. And then when I got to the point of like applying to law school, I was like, shit, am I going to just throw away the next 3 years of my life and maybe not even like this career and have to work this like hectic life every day when all I want are children? That was the only thing like whenever somebody would ask me, what do you want to be? I always said a mother. I never said, you know, a business owner, a lawyer, a doctor, a chemist. Like I don't know. I never thought that way. So, and like the most rewarding thing in college for me was working at the prison and being a nanny. Like I was so lucky to have both of those experiences. So then I met you, and that was after I had graduated from college, and I really did not know what I wanted to do. I was still a nanny. Was I still in college? I was in grad school.
Yeah, you were in grad school.
Well, it was like online.
Yeah.
But it was still at the same college I had gone to.
I think you were thinking about leaving grad school.
I was thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I would do if I left. Like I was in grad school I went back for special ed after I had a business law degree. Like it just didn't make sense. So didn't know what I wanted to do. We started dating. At the time, he wanted to move to Florida, so that's why it ended up.
I was considering it, and then
that's why it ended up not lasting with the first time we dated. But while we were dating, I made a TikTok account and basically posted a video mocking men's apartments, and the video was based off of his apartment. And I remember waking up, and there was like hundreds of thousands of views on this video, and automatically I thought like, oh, I'm just TikTok famous now. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was reading all the comments, and I started making a bunch of videos like this, like mocking like your apartment, mocking like your cars, like the inside of your cars, just like everything, like the types of shirts you wear, your dating profiles. And
it was like tongue-in-cheek dating advice. It's like, hey, like laugh at this, but also like kind of take the hint.
Yeah, but it just felt so disingenuous.
That is the right word, but I don't even know if that's...
No, but it just didn't... I was not fulfilled doing this.
You were having fun doing it.
It was fun, but it wasn't like I could ever turn this into a career because it was just so
You didn't think it was going to be
stupid.
sustainable.
I didn't think it was sustainable, and I also just... there was no depth to it. And I was so scared to actually speak my beliefs. I was like, if I actually say what I think about things in life, I'm going to get severely canceled and lose all of these followers.
Yeah, and that's why
I will lose this platform I have that is kind of doing some good and bringing people some entertainment.
Well, and that's why like a lot of your early videos sort of like accidentally wound up on like a lot of like the MGTOW or like men's review channels, because they would hear these things that you were saying pretty satirically and comically with you didn't mean a lot of the things that you were talking about, and then you would just get like blasted by these guys and you're like, I was joking, like things like that. But for the most part, everything from like best haircut to best shoes,
so
best cologne,
level. It was so stupid.
all these things, but it was also doing some good because you were at least giving men some sort of foundation. Like if they watched all of your videos and took advice from every single one, it would be, okay, if I match this shirt with these pants, with these shoes, add a cologne and cut my hair a little bit differently, guess what? You could probably go from like a 3 to a 6.
Yeah.
So, and that's huge, because then you can actually start dating girls who are somewhat attractive. You at least have an opportunity there. But once we started to date, and again, I can't possibly tap into exactly what was going on in your mind, but we started to date at the exact moment where I decided to start my social media platforms.
What, like the second time we dated?
Yeah, the second time. Yeah, the second time.
So we reconnected.
And I had no fucking idea that you had exploded because I had no personal social media.
Yeah, he had no idea that for the last year I had been doing social media. So now it's been 2 years that I've been doing social media. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But he had no idea that for a year after we broke up that I stuck with social media and actually like did something with it. So we got back together, and he was originally the one that had the men's self-improvement idea, basically. Like, that was you. And I knew that's what you wanted to do, and it's just crazy that I went down that path. and that's what I turned my platforms into.
Yeah,
but
that's right, because the idea of DM dating was actually in our first time we were dating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were really the one with the dream of this.
It just didn't happen for 9 months for me.
Yeah. And then we got back together, and I was kind of at a crossroads. Like, I had run out of jokes. I didn't have anything funny left. Like, the hot guy pro tips, the car videos, like, I'm not a comedian. That's not what I wanted to do. And I was so tired of writing these,
I think you're pretty funny, baby.
I think I'm like decently funny, but I was just, the jokes were not there. And all I wanted to do, like, I was scared to, like, I don't want to say names, but I was scared to, like, follow my favorite politicians on social media, because I thought that, like, if people looked at who I was following, they would hate me. And eventually you kind of convinced me that, like, you're either going to speak your mind or you're just going to be making these videos forever that you're just not really passionate
Well, I remember there was one day, and it was so funny, because I started to, once your Instagram really started to take off, I started to help you a lot more with your writing, because you were like, fuck, I'm managing all these platforms. I was like, let me do some scripting for you. Like, let me help out. And that was when we started getting into some of the stuff. You started asking me like, hey, could you do like a script about Tate? Could you do me a script about like Jordan Peterson? Like, because just like things that I paid more attention to, and like, could you write it in my voice? And I was like, yeah, those will kill. And they did, right? I remember there was one day you were like, hey, you started to like cry because you were like under so much stress. I remember like I had like a busy day at work. I had just gotten back from a lift, or I was about to go to the gym. I just saw you, and you wouldn't even look me in the eye because you were just in tears from not knowing like if you wanted to move to Florida, not knowing like what. I think you were like trying to figure out what we were going to have for dinner. Like you just had like all this shit on your mind.
I get really stressed about dinner.
And you were so upset, and I remember just like leaving you here to cry, and like I think in this exact spot.
I remember this.
And I walked in there, and I was like, "What can I do? What can I do?" And then I was like, "What your diet says about you." And I wrote the "What your diet says about you" script, and I just come out here and I start saying the script to you, and you were like, "I love you so much." I'm just crying on me, and then you filmed that video. And I remember that was like the last "What your whatever says about you," and like the transition into basically
based.
Well, I think coming out of your shell, first of all, and not being afraid to speak your mind openly about things like feminism, like the true masculinity crisis.
I had so much to say on feminism, and that was just a topic that I knew if I spoke on, like, I'd be done.
But that was the last one, because you had now commented on, you had introduced yourself to a lot of the red pill.
Okay, but don't say that.
The red pill influencers.
Yeah.
You had become more aware of them. You had watched more of their content. I'm making my dating content, and a lot of the stuff that you're hearing me write, you're like, that's actually like spot on. Like, that's really interesting. So then all of a sudden you start making shorts that are kind of related a little bit to some of my YouTube videos that I was putting out at the time. But you're just delivering it through the Billie Rae Brandt lens. And what was funny was that all of a sudden you started to just get this mental revisitation of all the guys who had sent you all of this shit during all of these things during your initial climb.
Yeah, like my initial.
I don't mean shit in the sense. I just mean stuff. They had sent you a bunch of stuff.
But like during my initial videos, when I would make those like what to wear videos, I would get DMs like novel length, basically saying like, I need help, I don't know what to do. And I was like, and again, after the prison experience, after the nanny experience, seeing this like weird lens into men's lives that like nobody else is seeing.
Well, and it was very specific too. So, sorry to cut you off. It would be like, hey, like I've been trying to follow some of your tips and I think it's helping a little bit, but like I just still can't get a girl to like text me back or something like that. And then like that same guy would hit you with something darker.
But you
like
just
the next
don't
time
know,
over.
like no girl. I mean, some girls now, because there is this awareness on social media that I feel like has happened in the past year, but nobody knew that this was happening in men's lives. And then I had all this data from my DMs of these men that were just struggling. And that's when I got emotional on the Whatever podcast. And Kiko was, talking about, I forget what she said, but like people don't realize how badly these men are struggling.
She said, I see average looking men like land girls constantly. And you
but
were
I
like,
was
it's not true.
Finally, again, like that prison experience was so fulfilling to me because at the end of the day, I was helping people and bettering them and like understanding them. Like that compassion is something that's really important to me, like understanding people and helping them through that. Same with the nannying. And then again, I found myself like, okay, this platform now is actually doing good. I'm listening to people, I'm taking what they're saying, and I'm doing something positive with it rather than just telling you what fucking shirt to wear.
Well, yeah. And I think you and I had talked about this as you were making that transition. You were like, I am like the only girl who's going to be talking about this stuff. There are other girls that give dating advice, but no girl is actually spearheading like anti-feminism.
Now they are.
Now they are.
Yeah.
But you were like the original.
I wouldn't say that.
I think you were because you come out of specifically sort of the male audience masculinity space, masculinity commentary. You weren't just a normal, you weren't just a political commentator who then started to comment on the male loneliness epidemic.
Yeah.
That was your whole thing. And then you started to just key in on it from a very serious side. And then a lot of other people started to fold in. And I think that one thing that I find very interesting is what's one of the biggest complaints from women?
Sorry, I'm just trying. This thing is not.
You're good. What's one of the biggest complaints from women? Men don't express their emotions enough. Men don't talk about their feelings enough. Now, all of a sudden, the last 1 to 2 years, maybe a little bit longer,
That's all I hear
there are
every day.
more men talking about their feelings and expressing how they felt for the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. And women don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you're the one girl who's like, not only am I hearing it, because I've seen the DMs, I've seen the emails, I've seen, guys, if you've ever sent her a DM or you sent her an email.
I see them.
She doesn't see every single one of them, but every once in a while she catches one and she's like, holy shit.
And I wish I could, I truly wish I could reply to everybody. I literally cannot.
And we also just can't set the precedent. Like we just can't. And but you got that view into the fact that this isn't just the one kid who was weird in high school. No, it's like normal guys all over the world who are struggling big time. And some of them are like millimeters away from not struggling, and they just have no fucking idea what to do about it. And they're too scared to go talk to men because of the shame and embarrassment that we talked about earlier. Like, all these guys in the prison wanted to do was get respect of men. It's like, well, how do you do that? Well, how do I admit that I'm less than you while simultaneously getting respect? It's a hard bridge to cross. So they don't confide in men about their struggles, so they go to the one girl that seems to understand them, and you didn't even necessarily feel like you understood them. You were just clearly on their side in some capacity. So all men were looking for was
somebody to
one
listen.
Girl who was maybe kind of on their side that wasn't their mom. Mm-hmm. And now, and I believe in the Jordan Peterson script that we wrote together, you said Jordan Peterson's the internet's dad and you're the internet's mom, right? So, like, that is what has gotten you here. And I think it's fucking great. I mean, just the fact that you have all of this insane data and all these things in your emails, your DMs, to just, it's evidence that there's a problem that you're trying to solve. So every time someone says you're a snake oil salesman, every time someone says that you're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, you're like, I have stacks of data, stacks of it, firsthand accounts of exactly how bad these struggles are and exactly how big of a problem this is. And you've tried to attack this from the testosterone side of the equation. I don't think that we're done with that moving forward necessarily.
No, we've dug into every possible reason why this could be.
We're digging into male.
At the end of the day, it's a combination of so many fucking things.
The testosterone, the pill,
and they're all linked together. Like, yeah, testosterone is low, but like maybe birth control. Like everything's linked.
Even my dating practice.
Once you start to go down the like hole of the masculinity issue and the male loneliness issue, it's never ending, and it's so interconnected. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
Even my dating practice, like you've seen, I used to be very selective about the guys in my network that I would help out, but now that I opened it up
Yeah.
more to the masses, you've seen recently, just in like the last couple of weeks since the Whatever podcast, when I had that huge influx, I had emails and DMs recently of guys being like, "You changed my life."
You've worked with people just like one-off sessions, and they're getting dates.
They're getting dates, and they're also saying
Like an hour session.
an hour-long session, and they're
So that's what it is. They just needed somebody to like listen to them, provide the constructive, I guess, would you call
let them know that like I'm a guy. I go through the same struggles that you do.
Yeah.
I have. I just figured it out.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to show you how I figured it out.
Yeah.
And by the way, the girl who you confide in, she is also the girl that I happen to love and who loves me. So the brain, like the ideas, the mindset, the perspective is a shared one. So you're getting it. It's almost like a mom and dad thing. It's very kind of nice, because every single one of the guys who's come in, they're all familiar with who you are. They're incredibly grateful for what you've done, and I think they appreciate talking to me, because just they know that the perspective is coming from a household that is looking out for them. And then I'm giving them actual tools to go out into the world and fix themselves. And
that's why like if somebody sat in this house and listened to what we talk about all day, and listen to like just literally all day, our whole day revolves around like trying to find solutions to these issues that men face. So I really don't get ticked off with like comments. Like somebody could call me a fat, ugly pig all day long. It never gets to me. But the one thing that gets to me is when people say that I'm a grifter, because I understand where that comes from, with where like the sarcastic
Pick me,
dating,
girl.
like the sarcastic dating advice to like serious, these serious like base takes on
Red
things.
pill, yeah.
I see where the grifter term could come in, but if any, like at the end of the day, it was just me finally saying like, I don't give a shit if people disagree with me, but I'm going to speak out on it. And I thought it was not going to be accepted. And I did. I initially lost a lot of followers from it. But that's why, yeah, and now we're fine. But
and you also have started.
But why that's the one thing that just gets me so aggravated, because if somebody sat in our house and listened to like how much we actually care about this topic.
One of the things that I think is super powerful for you is there are people sort of out there, not necessarily specifically in our space, but just sort of in, the our side of the equation, social media sphere.
I'm sorry, I just keep checking the camera in case it goes out again.
No, you're good.
That's why I keep making direct eye contact with you guys.
But all these people that you used to really, really look up to and almost worship as influencers, they've all started to notice you.
And they're all my friends. Like, I have people that I followed religiously that now I'm friends with, and I don't even know how that happened.
And the reason why they respect you is because you didn't go out of your way to network. You're so socially awkward that you don't even want to go out and network.
Thanks, baby.
But like you literally won't. Like with me, I go out, I meet people. You're like, I don't know how the hell you do this.
Yeah.
But
he's just so good in public. I go out of the house and I'm like just head down, so scared to talk to people.
No, well, this is why I coach guys.
But once I
was going to say, you got noticed. You've done such a great job, and you've spoken so much truth on this that you've just been noticed by all the right people.
I also think that's why I can relate to a lot of men that like have issues with approaching women, because I'm socially awkward. So I understand that it's not an easy thing to do. But also like moving to a new place. Like I never thought I was leaving New Jersey, but moving to Florida, I feel like really helped me with like learning how to interact with people, because I never really had to learn how to interact with people. All the people I knew were there.
So you also started to date a guy who refused to just stay in the apartment all the fucking time.
Yeah, and now I'm like, You're
like, wait, we're taking another walk.
Yeah,
it's 90 degrees outside.
We walk like twice a day.
Yeah, sometimes.
Actually, on our past 2 walks, viewers have said hello, which is like the sweetest thing.
Yeah, we've gotten a few "What's up, my guys?"
I would just like to say, when you guys come up to me and I don't know what to say, it's not because I don't want to talk to you. It's because I'm socially awkward. But there was a girl that came up to me the other day when I was ordering a steak. It was ours. There was this girl that came up to me and she was like, "Are you Billie? Like, I love your content." And I think I gave her a hug. I was like, And I didn't know what to say to her. I felt so bad, but I called him after.
A woman who doesn't hate me.
I called him after, and I was like, "There's a girl, and she liked me."
Was it Mazzaro's or TJ Maxx?
It was Mazzaro's. I was
Okay.
ordering the steak.
I gotcha.
I think we should get into my life trauma. My parents divorced a different time. I really don't want to get into that.
No, let's not do that.
So talk about like when we got back together and what the past. Well, we've been together for like a year and a half now.
Well, I think I think, and I'll speak in a lot of generalities. I think you've kind of permitted me to talk about certain things when it comes to this, but it's So the way that you came back to my life was insane. We don't need to get into that story right now, but
if you guys want to hear the story, drop a comment below.
Yeah, I'll maybe tell it next time, but it's pretty crazy. And you came down in June of 2022. I think an interesting detail to point out is obviously me having broken up with you, trust was not going to be something that just instantaneously returned to the equation. So you had told me, I'm not going to, when I come down, I don't want there to be any expectation. I just want to kind of see if there's like a good vibe between us. I want to revisit this. And when you said no expectation, and if you knew the mindset that I was in at the time, it was amazing that I was talking to her again. I was so excited that she was possibly going to be back in my life. And in that moment where you said, I don't want you to have any sort of expectation when I come down there, I pretty much told you, if you're not coming down to like revisit this romantically, don't come.
You did say that.
Yeah. So lesson in boundaries. But just, I knew, I think I said to you, it was a direct quote. I said, I have no interest in being your friend.
You did say that.
Yeah. So you still came down, which I greatly appreciated. And we had a great first weekend. Again, like I think it was the week before you came down was when I actually put my first YouTube video up, which is like kind of funny. So I was just starting my DM dating YouTube channel. You were giving me a lot of sort of tips on that. I didn't realize that I was about to start dating the girl who was succeeding at the thing that I was hoping to succeed with. So that was interesting. I will say, helping you out with some scripts, helping you with some of your content, I had no reach for pretty much 5 or 6 months. And the fact that I was able to get some of my message out through you, our message, but like I felt like I was contributing a lot, and I was able to get that out to a lot of these guys, your guys. Yeah, that was awesome.
Wait, can I just say what's up, my guys, came from the prison. That's where it originated. I don't really know how it started, but whenever I would walk into a classroom, they'd be like, what's up, my guy? And I'd be like, what's up, my guys? Yeah. So that's how that started, because the prison experience was so special to me. I wanted to carry it into the content, but go ahead. Sorry. So point that out.
But yeah, I felt like I was doing something meaningful. Obviously, having you was a cheat code. Not for the audience. Like, you taught me how to make short form videos. You taught me how to be more to the point with my content. You taught me how to not dumb it down, but make it more easily digestible. You challenged me to be like really, really, really good with the messaging, which was awesome.
They've heard me chewing for like the past couple months.
It's all good. But the year was very high stress. It was awesome. It was awesome watching you grow, but I also was, I mean this genuinely, I was insanely proud of you, and I've told you this constantly. I know how slow you are to make decisions that you're not comfortable making, like deciding you're going to share your beliefs a little bit more overtly.
Move to Florida.
Like moving to Florida, like being willing to trust me after we had, a relationship not work out the first time. And the year was crazy. And obviously I'm grateful that I was able to grow my platforms to the point that they're at now. I think, we were nervous to make our relationship a public one, just because we weren't sure how it was going to be received on, by your audience. We didn't know how I personally was going to be received by your audience. We still don't even necessarily have a great read on that yet.
They might hate you.
Yeah, they might hate me. I know that.
So before it cut off, we were just saying that we were worried about how Dan would be received, but it seems like you're being received well, because they are signing up for your coaching. Mm-hmm. But would you say that over the past year, like, would you say that you have respect for me and how you've watched me go about this?
I mean, yes. but what do you mean? What do you mean?
Pause. So you would use the term respect, right?
I have a lot of respect for what you've done and how hard you work.
So do you respect me?
Yes.
Okay. So, one of our comments from the last video was, you guys do not even seem to respect each other. How is anyone meant to take your advice seriously? Both of you hold contempt for each other, and it's plain to see.
Got it. Let us know in the comments if you can see the contempt.
Would you agree?
I would say that every once in a while we get frustrated with one another. We talked the other day about how we never get annoyed with one another. I think that's a key. That's a key. We
never like argue. We never
like. There's nothing that either of us do where we're like we've got. You used to say that I give you the ick with like certain things, but every fucking girl says that. So it's like you don't annoy me. There's nothing that you do that gets me into a fuck, like I want to strangle. Like I never have that whole like I want to punch her in the face, but she's still my person. Like that stupid fucking thing that people say.
Oh, we heard that recently.
Yeah, I have no idea where that comes from. I get frustrated sometimes because I feel like occasionally we repeat sort of the same habits, but at the end of the day, like I'm a man, you're a woman. Our entire channel, or I shouldn't say our channel, our entire platforms are centered around the fact that men and women are different. We're trying to help people understand how the communication occurs. I think we're both incredibly patient with one another. I think that we've learned how to work with each other in a way where our strengths are leveraged and our weaknesses are managed. I feel like you've changed the way that I communicate in person a lot. I think you have made me, I'm still very intense, but you've slowed me down a little bit. You've made me think a little bit more before I speak. I feel like I've helped you come out of your shell and be more confident with who you are as a human being. I think I've challenged you to think a little bit more critically about things. And I also think that just in general, we've developed a mutual respect for one another that is, I would argue, unmatched. And I think...
So you wouldn't agree with the comment?
Wouldn't agree with the comment.
You like bring this around to a more lighthearted discussion?
About how Selena Gomez is going to be single soon?
I think she probably is single, but okay. I would play the song, but we will get a copyright strike. So, what are you doing?
Just getting a messy eater over here.
Oh, I do have crumbs everywhere, sorry. I really want that tiramisu, but we'll eat it after. Okay, Selena Gomez. So if you guys are following me on Instagram, you saw that I did a Miley Cyrus song review the other day, but I didn't realize that like on the same day or within the same few days, Selena Gomez also dropped a new song. So I feel like this is how we should maybe sum up our podcast today, with just a reaction. I just want to get both of our reactions. I'm gonna read the lyrics.
Okay.
And I just want you to just take it all in. Okay.
Yep.
So this is the new song. It really doesn't have much to it, so I'm not going to read the entire song. I'll just read it so you get a gist. Should I do it on the phone? Should I leave a little note in the pocket of his coat? Yeah. Maybe I'll just disappear. I don't want to see a tear, and the weekend's almost here. I'm picking out this dress, trying on these shoes, 'cause I'll be single soon. I'll be single soon. I know he'll be a mess when I break the news, but I'll be single soon. I'll be single soon. I'ma date who I wanna, stay out late if I wanna. I'ma do what I wanna do. I'm picking out this dress, trying on these shoes, 'cause I'll be single soon. I'll be single soon. I know I'm a little high maintenance, but I'm worth a try. Might not give a reason why, oh well. We both had a lot of fun. Time to find another one. Blame it all on feeling young. Kind of like Miley's.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just repeats another 6 times, I think, the I'm single soon chorus.
Got it. So you're really hammering the point home.
Yeah, she repeats. Literally, the rest of the song is just
kind of the way she repeats her dating life.
Stop.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't think she has an extensive dating life.
That's what you think.
We don't know. She's very secretive with her life.
Yeah.
I mean, she had the public Justin Bieber, and she also dated The Weeknd. But I don't know if there have been any other...
Yeah, here's the thing. Women only want you to know about the men they're impressed by.
Well, but she's a public figure, so I feel like we would know if she was like Logan Paul's girl. Like there'd be more
because she would have been honored to be Logan Paul's girl. There's probably been other dudes where she wasn't honored, but they were a placeholder.
Well, what do we think about? You made a good point the other day. Would men ever make a song?
There are no songs like this from the male perspective. There are none.
We mentioned that there's some rap songs. Let's not say the words, but there are some rap songs that kind of have the same sentiment.
But that's not about breaking up with a girl to move on and be single. That's
just like effing a lot of girls.
Effing a lot of bees.
But it's not like let me leave a little note in his pocket about that I'm breaking up with him because now I want to move on to the next one. Yeah.
But it's also...
Is this toxic femininity?
Yes, but additionally, remember what I said earlier about women are looking for a reason to say no, men are looking for a reason to say yes?
Yes.
That's because women are always ready. That women, especially women like Selena Gomez, are always ready to walk away because they know there's always another guy waiting. There's always another guy waiting. So if one thing goes wrong, or if one person doesn't approve, like she could have all the respect in the world for a guy who is attractive, he's confident, he's successful, but then he doesn't let her go out super late at night. No, you're not going to be coming back through my door and climbing into my bed at 1:30 in the morning when I need to be up early, right? So no, you can't just go out whenever you want. And she thinks to herself, oh, that seems reasonable. But then she goes out with one of her friends who goes, he doesn't like you, he's so controlling. And all it takes is him not being there to logically argue with this stupid friend. And now she's got contempt for this guy, and she thinks...
Do you relate to this on a personal level? You're getting really...
No, it's just logic. It's just logic. And she just snaps her finger and says, you know what? I'm just going to leave a little note in his pocket, and I'm going to go buy a new dress and go out to the club tonight. That's it. This is what girls do. No guy has a song like this, because guys, when they get a girl, no matter who they are always like, finally.
Also, wait. This is another important part that we have to bring up. Why am I doing this? Okay, the pre-planning. Guys, if they know something's not going to work out, they're probably going to say it like pretty soon. Girls are pre-planning a breakup for months in advance.
Yeah,
that's the scary part about women.
Well, it's monkey barring. It's called monkey barring. A girl will start to market herself to other men, and then once she knows that there's a legitimate other man or men waiting, only then will she pull the trigger because she doesn't want to be single. This is why we always say no woman is ever single.
Yes.
Ever. Because they can literally just go from one to the next because there's always another guy waiting. Whereas what I was about to say.
Do you think, this is not like in their defense, but do you think it's because of like a biological factor of needing constant protection?
Could be. But I think it's more just abundance. It's just men are always ready to pursue a pretty girl. Always. Always. There's always going to be a horny guy around the corner.
My God, my whole bra was out.
Bralette. But what I was going to say about men, she can just think to herself, yeah, I'm just going to like start marketing myself and like there'll be another guy and then I'll break up with this one. Another guy is like, I worked so hard to get this girl. She's annoying the shit out of me. But maybe we can get past this. Like, that's why I say guys are looking for a reason to say yes. Mm-hmm. She has all these problems, but women are the opposite. Women are, he's amazing, but it's the complete opposite. That's why a girl would be like, yeah, he was like super nice and he was pretty hot. He really treated me well, but I just didn't feel the chemistry. Whereas a guy is like, sometimes the conversation is really boring and she annoys the shit out of me sometimes, but fuck, she's really hot and she's kind of nice and she's not that annoying. That's what a lot of guys think. They're looking for like anything to latch onto so that they don't have to re-enter the fucking dating world and have to go through the whole process of getting attention from women.
The process is fun for a girl.
It's fun for a girl because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's a game. Men, it's so difficult for the vast majority of men. Okay? I'll even put this out there.
You're getting a little intense, baby.
It's a very, very small subset of men who even have women DMing them. Okay? Because most girls won't even DM you. They'll slide into your comments with a notice me, and then they want you to slide into their DMs. So women don't even go all the way for the best of the best guys. They still have to slide into the girls' DMs. It's that much more difficult for men. So this whole concept of I'll be single soon, no, you're never single. You're going to be single for one day.
Yeah.
One day, because you already know which guy you're going to meet at the club that night.
You picked your next victim.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywho.
And rant. What are your thoughts, baby?
I gave my thoughts. I inserted a couple thoughts. You were the one that went on a whole spiel.
It's frustrating.
You would be a great college professor.
Teach like feminist studies or something like that.
Gender theory.
Queer theory. So something. Yeah, I don't know. That's what it's called.
I don't think
It's called queer theory.
I don't think that's.
No, it is. We'll discuss this afterward.
Okay. Anyway, I think we went over our time, so we are going to place our Whole Foods order right now.
Yeah. I enjoyed this. I think this is my favorite podcast so far.
I think this was a really good one. I
enjoyed it.
appreciate your recommendation of talking about me.
Yeah, I think they needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I do think a lot of people label you fucking, grifter or snake oil salesman, and it's so.
I never heard snake oil salesman.
You're selling snake oil. It's something you don't need.
Oh.
It's so far from the truth that sometimes it frustrates me. I can usually let things go, but I felt like people needed to hear it from you.
Well, let us know what you would like to hear us talk about. If you want to hear about my dysfunctional family life, or if there are any topics you want us to touch on. And if you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe. It is it's a crazy thing for us to be building another platform. So if you guys are watching this and want to support us, hit the subscribe button. That would mean a lot to us. And we will be back in a week. And follow us on Instagram. If you want to, on TikTok's kind of lame, where you can catch like the short form snippets, and maybe we'll post some like exclusive stories on our Instagram.
And we still have, by the way, Billie Rae Brandt, DM dating, and
it's in the description.
I think we still have some other new things coming down the pipe as well. So
yeah, there's going to be a lot coming in the next year.
Next 6 months to a year is going to be pretty crazy.
We're trying to help you all in every way we possibly can. So and we want to make sure it's done correctly. That's why it's taken a while.
Yep. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.